everybody, it's Anne. Welcome back to my podcast that is a combination of knitting, hand spinning, reading, cross-stitching, life updates, all of the above. Today is December 1st, 2018. I hope you guys are all doing well. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Thank you for joining me. I hope that you have a reason to come back and visit often. And if you're a returning viewer, as always, thank you for spending some time with me today to listen to me yammer on about various and sundry crafty things. We are having a really blustery day here. It's odd because we have a winter storm warning in effect for today through tomorrow, but it's sunny and bright. We had a dusting of snow overnight, and yeah, currently the sun is out. And it feels great to be outside in the sun because it's nice and crisp, but you step out into the wind like I did when I took the dog for her walk, and it is cold out. So I have a pot of soups on the stove kind of simmering away that I'm going to have for dinner, and I'm going to build a fire this afternoon and probably watch a movie. Yeah, like the perfect sort of snuggle in at home kind of weekend day. Let's see, you can find me on the web. I always forget this. You can find me on the web at www.woolywonkafiber.com for my website, on Facebook and Ravelry and Instagram as Woolly Wonka Fibers. And then my stitching account is on Instagram under Little Bird Stitcher. So, let's see. Oh, I did want to talk about one thing that's kind of general before I jump into knitting. So I wanted to make you guys aware. I talked about this, I think, this time last year. So this whole year I've been doing an online club that's been really fun called the Wonder Club, and I have loved every minute of it. It's been so much fun. It's been so interesting. It's like rejuvenated my creative juices. It's kind of helped me find some things that I didn't even know I liked or needed. Just very, very worthwhile. And the gal who runs that club has some smaller things that are kicking off or happening right now. They're not year-long, they're much smaller. That might be a great gift if you're looking for something for someone, maybe even yourself. But the one that I wanted to talk about, which kicks off on the 10th, I believe it is, of December. Hang on. 10th of December, so Monday a week, is a program she's running called the 12 Days of Wonder and Joy. And so for the 12 days between starting on December 10th for the following 12 days, so through the 22nd, Victoria is going to send I don't even know how to describe it, but she sends these great little missives that show up in your inbox, and they're just full of some great self-care suggestions that are related to the season. And they're very thoughtful, and there's nothing commando, and it's nothing difficult or anything you have to learn or anything like that. They're just good, like if you had the best friend in the world and you told her, you know, I really need a break, or I really need to be recharged, or I'm feeling really stressed. Her emails say the things that your best friend would say to you. Be good to yourself. So anyway, I'll put a link to that below. If you're interested, you can check it out. No affiliation, and I don't get a cut or anything, but I did decide that I'm going to, that's like a gift to myself that I'm doing for the end of the year, which I'm really looking forward to. So anyway, let's go on and let's talk about knitting. So I'm still slogging away on the things that live in the Viking Collection. I have to say thank you again to those folks, you know who you are, who said, oh, I could knit that, and took something off my plate, because while I'm not under a tight deadline, meaning I don't have stuff that's due like, December 5th or something like that. There's so much that I have happening in February that if I didn't have help, I wasn't going to get it done. So still working on that. Stay tuned. There'll be more to come. I do have some other knitting I can talk about this time. Y'all should be very proud of me that I actually did knitting that was not work knitting. So the first thing is I am making progress on this scarf, which I still am not 100% sure will be done for the holidays, but hey, look, it is way longer than it was before. Okay, yeah, go me. So this is just a really simple textured stitch pattern, and you can see here's the end of ball 1. And I've knit along and knit along and knit along. This is all I have left of ball 2. I have one more ball, so I'm like almost 2/3 done. The yarn is Berroco Alpaca Light. And it is their salt and pepper colorway, which I think is just practically the world's most perfect charcoal gray. I love it. It looks tweedy, it looks interesting, and it knits up like a dream. So, like I said, working on that. It's just a basic knit purl pattern, and I don't really like knitting scarves, but I'm knitting this as a gift, so things you do. Still hoping to have it finished by the holiday season, but you know, to be honest, I just do not know, so I'll get it done as I get it done. So that's where we are on that. And then I actually put some time in on my Berroco socks. Do y'all remember these? I started them back in September. It's never taken me this long to knit a pair of socks, ever. Ever. That should tell you how much other knitting I'm doing. So sock number 1, done. Sock number 2, I got the heel turned. Whoops, let me hold it this way. Got the heel turned and I started the foot. Again, not really sure when I'll get these done, but they will be off the needles at some point. I'm still kind of hoping that I will be able to have some time, like between Christmas and New Year's, in that week of that's sort of a dead zone, just to do some personal knitting. It will depend on how much work knitting I get done in the next 26 days. Let's say that. Okay, so again, this is the Berroco Socks pattern by Virginia Sattler Raymer. I think she says her last name. These are being knit from Cherry Tree Hills sock yarn in the colorway Java, which is an awesome colorway. That is really pretty true to life. We've got good light today. What else can I say about these? I'm using the Fish Lips Kiss heel on them as opposed to the flap heel that the pattern calls for, just because I like the way this fits. And yeah, that's all I got to say about those. I will, as always, put links below to anything that's a real pattern. This scarf pattern is not a real pattern. It is just a stitch pattern. There's no like go buy the pattern kind of thing for it. Okay, let me reorganize because I have a lot of things to share. I think that's knitting. Yeah, that's knitting. Okay, let's move on to spinning. So I did not get a lot of spinning done over the Thanksgiving holiday, which was awesome. Excuse me, dog sneeze. There might be another one. No, just blew her brains out. She's laying right there. Over the Thanksgiving holiday, so my parents were here for a week, which was great. It was wonderful to see them, but you know, I spent time visiting with them and not closeted with my spinning wheel, which is totally fine. But it just means I don't have a ton to show you. I do have one finished bobbin. This is the Isle of Skye colorway from Blaine Fleece and Fiber. This is the hand blended fiber that I showed you last time. That was fin sheep and bamboo. So this is the first 3 ounces. I have a total of 12 ounces to spin. So I've started on the second bobbin. Now, the first set of the roll eggs that I bought were fin sheep, wool, and bamboo. And then the second set that I bought, which was at a later time, is actually merino and bamboo. And it will be fine to apply those together. thin sheep's bouncy enough. I think it'll be fine. But the color is a little bit different, so I'm spinning the first 6 ounces I'll spin as one set of singles, and the second 6 ounces I'll spin as the second set of singles, and then ply those singles together. So this is the thin sheep, first 3 ounces, done. Working on the first half or so of the merino version of that. Same colorway, just, you know, different dye lots. So no huge plans for that. I'm still chipping away at it. I'm 99.9% sure I will not reach my 5-pound goal of spun fiber this year. I'm at 4.06 pounds, I think, right now, and I'm not going to get another pound spun this month. I'm just not. Okay, fine. It was a personal challenge thing, and this year's just been, I've had a lot more knitting to do than I had originally booked, so, you know, it is what it is. I'm going to try for that amount of spinning again next year, though. I've done really well. I've purchased 2, actually, this first 6 ounces and the second 6 ounces. So I haven't even purchased, I've only purchased 12 ounces of fiber this entire year. So I'd like to think that that is helping kind of diminish the fiber stash, but it doesn't feel that way. There's still a lot to be spun, y'all. Just saying. Okay, let's move on to books. So I finished the book called The Time in Between. I will put a link to all of these below for my Goodreads page. Finishing that up meant that I have finished my 52 books in 52 weeks challenge for 2018. So, yay, 2 thumbs up. 2 thumbs up. The Time in Between. It's a long one. I think, as I mentioned before, that it reminds me a little bit of certainly some of the subjects that Ernest Hemingway wrote about. The story is about this young woman who originally lives in Spain. She's brought up in Spain. She's the child of a single mother. She's an only child. Her mother is a dressmaker, and so she learns all the skills of dressmaking. They live in Madrid. She winds up kind of falling in with this guy of ill repute. He takes her inheritance. She finds this out as they're living in Morocco. He abandons her with the bill at a hotel. And so the book kind of follows her from, the main part of the book is her late teens, like 18, 19, up for about a span of about 6 or 7 years. And it's set in the time in between. Excuse me one second. Sorry about that. We had the FedEx guy come. He comes almost every day, apparently, to our house. We had to go make sure he was not an intruder. Anyway, so the time in between. So it follows her growth and development, where she kind of comes into her own and she becomes a dressmaker herself. She winds up being able to get her mom out of Madrid during the Spanish Civil War. It chronicles sort of the rise of Franco and the Nazis coming to power in the years just before World War II. There's some espionage thrown in. I liked this book quite a bit. It was a good read. I would give it maybe a B+. There were some sections in the middle that were kind of slow for me. Some of the reviews I read, which I read after I read the book, said, well, the author did that to mirror the pace of this young woman's life. Okay, I'll buy that, but I think the slow parts could have been cut a little because they were slow. So anyway, I enjoyed it. Recommend it if you like historical fiction, especially early 20th century historical fiction. Then I read The Shell Collector by Anthony Doerr. You may know his name. He is the author of the Pulitzer Prize-winning All the Light We Cannot See, which I read last year and absolutely loved. This is a book my dad sent me, and Laura, yes, you were correct. My dad came with a suitcase full of books and left some good ones with me. Totally worth it. This is a collection of short stories he wrote, including The Hunter's Wife, which he won the O. Henry Prize for short story fiction for, and is worth the price of admission on this book. Not that it's that pricey. 15 bucks. I haven't bought a hard print book in so long, I have no idea how much things cost. So anyway, it's a collection of short stories. They are all very him. Like, you can hear this author's voice in every single one of them. They're beautifully written. The Hunter's Wife definitely was one of my two favorites, but my favorite out of this book is the very last one, called Macondo, I think. It's Mkondo. And it's just a beautiful story about love. That's all I'm going to say about it. So if you've read All the Light and like his writing style, you will probably love this collection. If you like short stories in general that are just thoughtful and beautifully selected word choice, you'll like this one too. Yeah, so I zipped through that. Then I picked up this book, which my dad also brought, Lord John and the Hand of Devils, Diana Gabaldon. And you know her great because she's the author who wrote Outlander. Now, I'm going to say I read the first in the Outlander series, and I liked it okay, but not enough to read the other ones. I know that's going to be like an unpopular statement, but yeah, I mean, it was fine. It was fine for what it was. I didn't love the books the way I know a lot of people did, and I haven't seen any of the Stars video versions of them. However, this is a set of 3 short stories that she has written featuring the character of Lord John, who appears in the Outlander series books. He is British and military, and I think you probably know who he is if you've read the books. If you haven't, I guess there's enough out in popular culture about the Outlander series right now that you could read these books and still probably understand some of the references to Jamie Fraser, I think. But it irks me a little bit that these are written assuming that you know this whole other storyline and world and characters, because they pop up in every single one of these stories. Not in a substantive way, but they are referred to in every single one of these stories. Read the introduction to this if you think you might want to pick this book up, because it may sway you one way or the other. The 3 stories were written at 3 separate times, and they are sort of in chronological order as they appear in this book, and then there's like other things that happen in between them. So she now, I think, also has like a full novel, 3 full-length novels featuring this character, but these are short stories. The first one was written fairly early on in her Outlander career. I think before she had written maybe the second, but definitely the third in the series. And it was written for a magazine that was a compilation of historical fiction short stories. It has an odd ending in the sense that, like, you get to the ending and I thought there was going to be 20 or 40 more pages, but there's not. So it just kind of ends. Okay. I think it was because she kind of got to the end and realized she was over her word count. And then she was just like, okay, so now I'm done. The second and third short stories in this are better written, and they flow better, and they seem to come to a logical conclusion. So a little uneven for me, entertaining. If you love the Outlander stuff and like you'll read whatever because she wrote it and you love the world and the characters, you'll probably enjoy this one. Like I said, I think it takes at least a little bit of knowledge of the world in which those characters the Outlander characters operate to completely understand what's going on in this book. But I don't know, if you don't know anything about Outlander and want to pick this book up, you can let me know if I'm totally off base or totally on base. So have read that one as well. Today I started with this morning's coffee yet another book from my dad, Da Vinci's Ghost. Genius, Obsession, and How Leonardo Created the World in His Own Image. So this is a nonfiction book. Sorry, I will be right with you. Sorry, y'all. I thought that 1 o'clock on a Saturday would be a great time to record this podcast, but instead we've had lots of interruptions, so I apologize for that. Anyway, Da Vinci's Ghost. So this covers some of the history of Da Vinci's life, but it's also talking about Vitruvian Man, which is actually this very famous illustration that illustrates that the human figure can fit in a circle as well as a square. So it talks about the Italian Renaissance. It talks about Leonardo da Vinci's place within that. It talks about his notebooks. It talks about how Da Vinci even came up with this, or where he found the basis for this information and why he's credited with this currently. So I am not very far into it. I've read that much. But this is on my reading list for the foreseeable future till I get it done. I did have a lot of folks who asked me if I would do a podcast that was specifically about my reading list for the 52 books in 52 weeks challenge 2019. And yes, I will do one of those. It will be a completely separate video, so if you're not interested in the books and things, you don't need to watch it. I'm going to go over the topics, the 52 topics on the list, and talk to you a little bit about ones I've chosen. I've already started making a list. I'm not going to have everything figured out. I have a friend that I'm going to do kind of a very casual book reading group with, just the two of us, I guess, which isn't really a group, whatever that is. But I read a lot more than they do, so I don't want to put any pressure on them. We're just doing one book off of each month. They'll pick one, and then we'll both read that, and then I'll read the rest of the stuff. So I don't have everything figured out through to the end of the year, but I do have a lot picked out. So yeah, I will be doing that, just FYI. Okay. This is all going to be like completely jumbled up because I don't know where we are in this now. We'll give it our best shot. Okay. Let's see. Cross stitch. Let's move on to that. Oh, you know what? I'm going to have to show you one of them at a later date. It's my finished piece that I got back from the framer, but I don't have it here. You know what? Y'all can just wait 1 second while I go get it, and then I don't have to stop the recording. Hang on. No. Go lie down. Sorry, I am unprepared and it's a hot mess today. This is totally not like me. Okay, here it is. Key to My Heart, finished, frame, done. D is for done. Let's see, let's talk about the framing. I picked this kind of antique gilded one that has these little ribbony things because it kind of reminded me of like this shape. And then the mat is actually a suede mat. Can you believe that this was something that they had in stock? I could not. Fabric is a 32 count hand-dyed linen in Briar Rose from Hand Dyed by Stephanie. The floss is a hand-dyed cotton from Coloring Cotton in the Black Currant colorway, which I believe is sadly discontinued, but I have a stash that I hoard that have, I think, four skeins of it. Love how this came out. My husband and I have a big anniversary coming up next year, and yeah, so that's done. Oh, pattern is by Tempting Tangles, and it's called Key to My Heart. So when my husband and I got married, my grandmother actually stitched us, sorry for the glare, stitched us a little sampler that has the date of our wedding and our names in it. And it was the last kind of craft piece of that size that she did before she passed away. It was several years after my wedding that she passed away, but I was the only grandchild who had gotten married at that point. So, you know, that's very special to me that she did that. And I know it was a struggle for her. She had gotten scarlet fever when she was 6, and it caused some nerve damage. So she had lost a lot of her hearing, and then she had a intention tremor in her hand after the fevers subsided. And so fine work was really hard for her because her hand shook so badly. So I know that she put a lot of work and energy into it. So now I have the 2 pieces. I have the one my gram made us, and then I have this one. So very, very happy with this one. I love how it came out and just everything about it. Okay, so that is that. Next, I worked on my Which Way project, artwork by Molly Harrison, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. This is the mini, and I think they maybe have taken this off the website. I think there's the no background one still there, and there's the full-size one still there, but I can't find this on the website, so I'm not sure what the deal is with that. But at any rate, this actually got 10 days of work on it. So I am here. So I had finished this page. That was done. And so I started on page 2. I actually have gotten all the way over. This is the corner edge of page 2. So the middle of the project is right here. So I have passed the midway point for that amount on that upper row. And then I just worked down on the diagonal. So I put more in for her hat. Got a little bit more of this next kind of dark curl in her hair done. I love the colors in this, you guys. I just think it's so pretty. I've just really liked working on it. And, you know, the fact that it's a mini, I get that you theoretically lose some of the detail, but it still looks pretty good to me. And it's way faster than working background for like the entire first row, which I'm sure is what would have happened if this had not been a mini. So that's where I'm on that. Again, I worked on this for 5 days, and then I'll show you what I worked on for 5 days. And then I worked on this the last is actually 6 days of the month. So yeah, really happy with that. And then I had 5 days over the Thanksgiving holiday here in the US, where I worked on Prairie Schoolers When Witches Go Riding. This one right here. I did not get very much stitched. I'll just forewarn you of that. I am stitching this on a 28 count linen that I hand dyed myself, as well as with silk floss that I have hand dyed myself. And here is where I am. So I finished, the cats were done and the black border was done. So I did all of the background and the yellow and the cat eyes and the jack-o'-lantern. Now I have this one little bit left to do, but the next word that's over here that's witches is actually in the orange. And so I thought rather than start a whole new thread, stitch whatever that is, 8 stitches, and then leave it hanging, I'll just do it next time I pick this up to add the witches word. So that is where I am on that. No idea when this will come back out again next. It's not slated for a while, but it is something that's fairly small, unlike like 80+% of all my other projects. So it may wind up being my travel project. And since I'm now at the point that I have the first 6 months of the year, I have at least one 5-day trip scheduled in every single one of those months. And I think 2 of those months I have 2 or 3 5-day trips scheduled. This one may see more time than I think. Stay tuned. Then let's see. So today is the 1st of December, so I am kicking off another new start to get me going before the No New Starts 2019 that I'm doing along with Sarah over at Stitchin' Mommy. This is what I will be working on today. Another Heaven and Earth design, artwork by Donna Gelsinger, and it's the ornament version of A Long Winter's Nap. I have decided to do this on 32 count to make it a little bit smaller. It's going to be more like 9.5 by 9.5 as opposed to 12 by 12. Since this is the size for 25 counts, so on 32 count, 1/1, be smaller. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to getting going on that one. This will come out in January for my cozy stitch along in the Full Coverage Fanatics group. I'll be working on this for 5 days, at least in January. Now the bad thing was when I was getting ready to start this, I looked at some of the other ornaments that I have in my Full Coverage stash, and now I want to start all of them before 2019. But I'm not going to. I'm going to just start this one. I said it here. Okay. Let's talk about what I'm going to work on for the rest of the month, or till I see you again next time, which will be mid-month. So I'm going to work on that Long Winter's Nap for 5 days. I've then got the Stargazer, the Mirabilia pattern, the Stargazer up for the 6th through the 10th. And then I've got the Celtic Year. That's the Joan Elliott pillow square design that's got the Celtic knots in the center and the 8 Celtic festivals around the outside edge. And that will take me to the 15th. I think I will be talking to you guys around that time, but I'm not sure exactly what day that week, at the end of that week or weekend, because I've got some stuff on the books that may make it hard to record a podcast, so it may be a little bit later. But if I don't talk to you by the 15th, then oddly enough, the Tiny Decisions app picked my Jim Shore's 12 Days of Christmas to work on from the 16th through the 20th, and then the end of the month I'm going to start and work on Joan Elliott's Winter Fairy. So I'm going to start that on the 21st, which all works out really nicely. So I think that is currently it. I did have one purchase, but it's just some Krynic that I got to start Winter Fairy with, so you'll see that when that comes out for my next podcast. So let me make sure I covered everything here and look at my list. I think that's it. Okay, so I hope everybody is doing great, having a good start to December today. I'm going to go get a fire started and get some stitching done. Decide what movie I might want to pop in on Netflix. My husband's traveling today. He's off to the UK for a week. So he's kind of checking in as he goes through the stages of flying. Long day for him. I think he doesn't... he's taken off shortly to go to the airport in DC, but then he's got time to sit in Atlanta before he routes over to Heathrow. So until I talk to you guys again next time, know I'm here doing my thing. I will get that reading podcast, book-oriented podcast done sometime probably next weekend, and then try to get that uploaded for y'all. And I think that's it. I think I've babbled on long enough. I apologize again for all the interruptions. Just thought this was going to be my quiet time on Saturday, and so it's not. So I'll do my best to get timestamps in, but who knows? Okay. Take care, y'all. I will talk to you probably mid-month with another update on all the crafty things. Bye-bye.